Welcome back. I've got Joe Massa online. Joe, how are you today?
I'm doing quite well, Michael. Thanks for having me on.
Been looking forward to this one for quite a while. Not that it's been too long, but it seems like forever. So thankful that you're finally on the show. So why don't you share a little bit about you, and then we'll jump into our conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. And it hasn't been too long, but it does feel like that when you're in the podcasting game. You talk to so many people, it's easy to forget who you've talked to and haven't yet. But long story short, I'm a 20-year plus veteran in the radio world. Been on air on AM, FM, was nationally syndicated via satellite on multiple platforms. And earlier in this year, we launched Podtopia Network, which is a podcast network that's focused on helping individuals start their own shows if they're interested in that. We also work with a lot of businesses that need a podcast presence, but maybe don't know exactly how to go about that. We've created some programs for them. And then we also work with thought leaders that like to get featured on podcasts. But realistically, the biggest picture that I can paint here is that we truly believe that podcasting as a whole and as a medium is by far the strongest piece of your marketing funnel that is often overlooked. And it's really a great way to network and connect with people in your space. So it's something that we wholeheartedly push out there for our businesses and brands that are looking to expand.
No, it's a beautiful platform, and as we were talking briefly in the pre-show, it's something that I didn't want to do, but then in 2017, Steve convinced me to do so, and here we are in 2025 at the time of this recording, and we keep marching on. I can't imagine what the last 8 years would have been like without the show. It doesn't. I can't even imagine what I would be doing. I'm sure I'd be doing something, but it wouldn't allow me to grow and network and meet amazing people across this beautiful planet that we have, and just the relationships, the business from it, or just being able to introduce people to each other that helps them get to where they want to go. It's such a wonderful format, and I know a lot of people are like, well, I'm not sure about if there's any value in that. And I've been doing this lately, telling people it's like, okay, think of the famous people you know. Do they have a podcast show? And a lot of them do. And I'm not just talking about thought leaders, I'm talking about actors or musicians or anybody else. Like, if they're taking time out of their schedule, which is packed, to dedicate to having their own platform, maybe you should too, because it's a great way to actually get attention. Yes, social media is awesome, but with algorithms and everything, who knows if your post is going to be seen by anybody? It could be the greatest post in the history of posts, but some people may not see it. With the podcast, however, you're going to be seen. And if you're on a network like yours, people are going to like, okay, well, let me look and see, what's out there. And I'm interested in this. Well, if you talk about that, guess what? There's a good chance people are going to discover you. And when they do, well, that just opens up all kinds of doors.
Yeah, it's definitely a booming industry. There's 585 million worldwide podcast listeners, each and every year, and that number grows. But there's a couple of really cool things about the podcast space that's unique as opposed to radio or TV or print publications. Number one, you really are in control of your own platform. Now, obviously, you can't go spew a bunch of hate or illegal things on YouTube or Spotify, but it's not FCC regulated. I could drop an F bomb right now and no one's going to get hurt. We're not going to get yanked off of the proverbial internet air. So you do get to control the content that you share, which is valuable for people that have unique content that maybe wouldn't get picked up on another platform. But to go back to your other point about the people who tune in, those are really engaged people that are going to engage with your brand. And I've used this analogy multiple times, but it's not like when you flip on the TV or the radio and whatever's on is on, you don't control that. If I go to the Breakfast Leadership Network podcast and I download your show and consume it, it's because I'm interested in you or your brand or your topic or who you're talking to. That means that there's a good chance I will engage with your brand, whether it's purchase your course, download your materials or your programs, or buy your subscription, download your newsletter. All of those things become very valuable for your long-term marketing assets and marketing efforts, because now you got another touch point. If I can become a newsletter, I can give you my newsletter, then I'm in your inbox, and then you follow me on social media. Now you see me on Instagram. Then you watch my podcast on Spotify. Now all of a sudden I'm everywhere you go. So you're going to be like, why do I keep seeing this guy? maybe I should check out his stuff. So it's a really great way to stay in front of your audience, but also to sort of warm them up a little bit to what you're doing.
And that's the key thing. And I know with your radio background and everything else that you've done, marketing is key. And it's one of those things. And my brother gave me this nickname years ago. My original career was in accounting. I worked at a CPA firm first part of my career, and then I left accounting. So he refers to me as the reformed accountant, where it's like, yeah, you left the industry. It's like, I think about it now. It's like, would I go back to work at a CPA firm? Absolutely not. Not a chance. I'm sorry. No. I mean, unless I had a choice between that and, not being able to provide for myself, okay, then sure. But it's just something that doesn't interest me anymore. But for me, being an old accountant, marketing was one of those areas where it was a line item on the expense reports. And I didn't pay much attention to it in my youth. I really wish I would have. But thankfully, you can still learn when you get older. And I've learned a lot about, marketing and selling. And, marketing is storytelling. And, selling is, connecting to people and, finding out from them, what would really help them get to where they want to go in life, whether it's buying a product or service or launching their own platform so they could go out and share their viewpoints on whatever they want to share on. And again, that's one of the beautiful things about the platform is it does give you that opportunity, but use it. This is a soapbox moment. Use it to benefit others. Yes, there are plenty of shows out there that are just ranting, and I know there's a segment of the population that loves that type of format, and I'm not judging, but go about it. It's like, how can I use my experiences and my thoughts and my beliefs and all of these things to benefit others that can help them get to where they want to go? And if you do that, you're going to find your audience will grow over time. And again, you get to talk with some amazing thought leaders across the world. And who knows, you may come up with business partnerships or relationships that end up creating a pretty significant revenue stream for yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And you touched on a couple things I want to backtrack on as far as the marketing goes. This isn't like the days of old where if you wanted to be seen, you had to buy a TV spot or a billboard off the highway or radio advertisements. With the birth of social media and the ability to have technology like this where we could just film ourselves and put it on a platform like YouTube or Spotify, those are really low hanging fruits and very low entry points into advertising. And the beautiful thing about something like a social media post or a podcast, they become evergreen assets. And if you're unfamiliar with that term, just means they sit there for years and years and years and continue to generate validation for your business, your brand, or whatever the case is. But the beauty of podcasting is it can work for any industry because it doesn't matter if you're an accountant and I'm a roofer and the next person's a dentist. We all have a singular baseline. We all need marketing. We all need sales. We all need HR and payroll. We all have the same foundation. And then when we get into our expertise, that's when we differentiate and split off into roofing, accounting, dentistry, whatever the case is. But we all have the need for that exposure, the discoverability factor. So if you're a dentist podcaster versus a roofer podcaster, you might be talking to two completely different segments of the population, but the principle's the same. Get your voice out there, be seen by the people that matter to you, identify your target audience, and then find out where they live. Are you a health and fitness person? They're probably going to be on Instagram or TikTok. Are you an accountant? Probably need to head over to LinkedIn. And once you find out where your people live on the internet, you create content and you bring it to them. And then you engage with the communities that already exist. You don't always have to reinvent the wheel. There's always this sort of thought process like, well, I need to create my own app and my own webs and my own social media platform. It's like, just use what's out there, man, and start easy and then build and continue to snowball it as you get bigger and bigger.
I'm saying this tongue in cheek. We don't need HR. I have so many people that I'm connected to and that are in the HR space, good friends and all that stuff. Nah, we don't need you. Go away. No, no, we do. HR is that one role you kind of feel like a pinata because you're getting beat up by management, you're getting beat up by employees. So enjoy, but it's not for the meek, that's for sure. But you're spot on because again, figure out where your tribe is or where your audience is. And if some people, they like, I don't know. Well, okay. Well, then look up like-minded or similar businesses, figure out where they're active, and away you go. An organization I help out is in the office cleaning business. I'm doing some consulting for them, and I told them, this is your market. They know who the players are because they've been in the industry for a long time, so they know the players. But I'm like, okay, what are they doing? What how are they growing business? Because it's a competitive field, and when you're in an area that is adding new developments, so new buildings, new office buildings, and whatnot. Well, guess what? You've got prospects that are going to need cleaning. So, got to figure out who those people are and get ahead of the game and reach out to them right away. Because a lot of times they don't think about that. They're in the construction phase and they're building everything out. It's like, okay, now we're going to open up the office. Well, they may not have a service lined up yet, especially if they've relocated to a different area where their previous cleaning company, they don't go to that area. So though again, you have to constantly be thinking about ideas, and that's the beautiful thing about the platform. A lot of people, why would have a cleaning company have a podcast? Well, you know how many people would learn and about properly cleaning their own homes by some tidbits and ideas. It doesn't have to be a 2 hour long episode. How to clean, that baked on grime that's on your stove, or how to clean grout without spending thousands of dollars on the latest Amazon gel that they're pimping. There's so many different things that you could learn, and that's just a singular thing. So when people say, I'm in this business, I'm like, yeah, you could do a podcast on that because your experiences are individual to you. And I think a lot of people think, well, there's too many out there. And no one will listen. You don't know that. Or when people ask me, or they're thinking about writing a book, my first answer is write it. I don't even ask them what the book's about. Like, write it. But there's so many business books. Yeah, but there's none by you. So get out there, put it out there. It's like,
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things you mentioned is you do have to understand where your target audience lives. And there's really a lot of tools out there to do that. Even like AI, use ChatGPT, use Gemini. I created a course called the Podcast Accelerator, which you actually watch me go through my own course on how to build a podcast from scratch. But one of the lessons in there, and it's the most important one in my opinion, it's identifying your target audience based on what you want to talk about. Now that could pivot a little bit, but the bigger piece of what you mentioned is you need to sort of do a little competition research. What are they doing that's working? What are they doing that's not working? And where's the gap? Where can you fill in that missing piece of the puzzle in your industry that can separate you and differentiate you from the competition? That's very valuable. And then taking it back to like a cleaning business example, here's the thing: you don't have to have an interview podcast where you go, okay, Mr. Clean, I'm going to interview you for 30 minutes. He doesn't exist. Obviously, he's a fictional character, but that would be hard to continually find a 30 to 60-minute interview guest. Instead, you could record yourself doing 5-minute little tidbits, or here's a tip on how to do exactly what you said: clean the grout the right way. So you create these little pieces of content. Those are the evergreen assets I was mentioning earlier. Those are the ones that people who are really looking for a need, they go, I've got this beautiful house, but this horrible tile. I can't clean it. I can't figure it out. So they go to YouTube like everybody else, and they start seeing one of your videos and they go, oh, this guy was really good at that. And then they see the next one, the next one. Now you're built into their algorithm too. So they're going to go, this guy's going to keep flooding your feed because you're interested in one of his videos. The more content that you have on that platform now, the more it gets recirculated to people looking for cleaning tips. That's how you build a buzz around your brand. That's how you identify yourself as the leader in the space. And then next time I have a cleaning issue, I'm not going to go to YouTube and just ask. I'm going to go directly to your page. And I go, oh, I already know somebody that does great work in the cleaning space. Let me start there. And then if I can't find it, I'll move on down the road. But that's the best way to continue to provide free value to your audience that makes them crave your knowledge and expertise.
yeah, and then they may, you know, buy from you if you offer a product or a service that's available, especially if it's a local delivered, but even, shipping internationally. There's certain things like, yeah, this is a cleaning solution that we use. We've branded it. We partnered with XYZ company, and we have this stuff that all of our cleaners use. You can use it in your home too if you're not in our area. Here's how to do it. Here's a link to buy it. You can even have it on the Zons if you want, an affiliate link if you want. There's all kinds of different ways for you to monetize your and the partnerships and relationships you have. You got to kind of step out of the box a little bit and be creative. And I love how you mentioned a moment ago. It's like, okay, there's other shows out there or other social media posts out there that are posting things. Okay, what are they not posting? Because if they're not posting something, it's something you do, then post that. Because again, that makes you stick out a little bit. And I'm a big fan of saying that the pie is too big for all of us to consume. We can all get a slice of our pie,
Mhm.
whatever slice we want. It's out there. Go get it. And whenever people say, "Well, I don't know. I don't think I could reach that level." It's like, "No, you know what? You may actually surpass that level." And that's a big thing for a lot of them. They think because of their limiting beliefs or limiting decisions, as I discovered in a conversation I had the other day with my good buddy Bogdan on the show. I'll put a link in that show for in the notes here for you to listen to. But I what I find is you gotta dream bigger than you possibly can, and then dream bigger than that. And is that uncomfortable? Of course, but everybody that has ever quote unquote made it, they started off with nothing. There was an idea and maybe they didn't have any funding or money or inspiration or desire. And I think about my business. It came to me in the shower. Like, okay, I want to do some consulting. What am I going to name this thing? And breakfast leadership came to mind. I'm like, okay, that works. Got it trademarked too. That was an awesome birthday gift from the U.S. Patent Office. I got that on my birthday a few years ago. My certificate saying that breakfast leadership is a registered trademark. I'm like, that's pretty damn cool. Usually in the government, when it comes to your birthday, they're asking for money for you to renew your stuff.
It's usually
But
the opposite of pleasant.
oh, exactly. It's like, oh, a bill. Thanks. Congratulations for being born. Pay us. Yeah, they get you. There's a Van Halen song, In and Out. It's about they get you coming in, they get you going out. It's like, yeah, you're gonna pay. That's just the bottom line. But again, going back to the using podcasts as a platform for your business. And for some of us, the podcast actually is the business or part of it. And that certainly wasn't the intent when I first launched my company, but it became it just because of the work that I do and I just absolutely love having conversations with people, which was so therapeutic, quite frankly, during that wonderful year of 2020, because you get to talk to people when we were told, yeah, don't go see people. You got to stay distance and can't travel and can't do all this other stuff. It was very, very helpful to do that, and it it can create more humanistic and real conversations, which is not happening, unfortunately, on a lot of social media platforms or traditional media platforms. It's not real discussion. It's back and forth jabs at the opposing view. And podcasts give you the opportunity to, dig deeper and ask deeper questions and seek to understand that person's point of view. And again, if you want to have your show that way, it doesn't have to be that way. You can have a show just talking about jokes or dogs or who name it, whatever. But when people, and I'm going to start doing this now, when people say I'm thinking about starting a podcast, my answer is going to be the same as writing a book. Do it. I don't even know what you're going to talk about. Do it. Why
Doesn't
not?
matter. You don't have to know what you're going to talk about specifically. And a lot of people get really hung up on the analysis paralysis of like, well, I need to have the best microphone and the best camera. And no, you don't have to have any of that. You have exactly what you need right now. If you have a cell phone in your pocket, you can be a podcaster to start. Just get a few done, record a few, see how you like it, see if you're even interested in doing it. But the reality is that you're right, it does humanize conversation. It's not keyboard warriors typing in black and white where you have no idea what their intentions are. This is a dialogue that we're having here that's very valuable. But then when I talk to people that go, well, I maybe would start a podcast, but well, I want to talk about true crime, but there's already so many true crime podcasts out there. I go, well, think about it this way. That's like suggesting that McDonald's shouldn't have started because Burger King existed. Well, do the math. McDonald's is the bigger of the two. It came out after Burger King. So you go, well, why would I make a hamburger fast food place when one already exists? Because it doesn't matter. There's no original ideas out there anymore, guys. Everything's been done 4 million times ahead of you. So what you do is you separate yourself by being your unique individual self. You have your own thought process. You have your own way of handling circumstances and questions, and your production could be different. Whatever separates you is irrelevant. But the reality is, don't not do something because somebody did it before me. That's like LeBron James should never play basketball because Michael Jordan was better than him originally. But of course, that's not how things work. So find what you're passionate about, whether it's your work, whether it's talking true crime or talking about cartoon characters and comic books. I represent a couple podcasts that focus on comic books and cartoon characters, and it's a passion project. And they're not doing it for fame and for millions of dollars, but what they've done is created a brand that they've been able to turn into a social media following. They got sponsors that come in. They get to do what they want every single day of the week, and they're happy and they're making a little bit of money in their pocket, and they get to talk about what they want. Find something you can consistently be passionate about, something that you're excited to talk about and share with other people in the space, or like you said, just connecting people. Like, some people turn a podcast into a business. I made a business out of helping people turn podcasts into business. So I even went a layer higher. And again, I didn't intend it coming out that way. It just was something I became passionate about when I saw how much people enjoyed this and what they could build with it. And it's amazing what you can do with your own voice. So I agree. If someone says I should start a podcast, the answer is yeah, go ahead. If you need help, we're here, but absolutely do it.
Yeah. And you know, people say, well, I don't know what to talk about. And you just gave a great example, like comic books, for example. I mean, I've read comic books ever since I was a real little guy, and went to the comic book store, and occasionally they would bring in characters like Captain America or Darth Vader or Spider-Man, and you get a little kid, all of a sudden you're like, wait a minute, this was in this paper. All of a sudden, they're actually in this, comic book store. And I've been to Comic-Con in San Diego. It just, there's so many different shows on there, but it's your perspective. And it's like if you're passionate about it, then it's going to come through when you're talking about it. And you have to ask yourself, what am I passionate about? Okay, we'll talk about that, because you know what? There's other people out there that are passionate too. It creates community. It creates a sense of belonging. So those people that follow you or listen to your show or consume all of your content or read your newsletters, it's a community if you nurture it right, but it's also a sense of belonging. They feel like they are belonging to something. And right now in this world, we're still healing, and many people still haven't addressed the trauma that the pandemic caused. So that sense of belonging and being a part of something that makes us feel good is something that you should always strive for, whether you are a consumer of content or you're a creator of content.
Well, and to look at something just like Comic Con, it's easy for people to be like maybe embarrassed of what they like, or like don't want to share it, or don't want to be judged like, hey, I'm a 40-year-old man. I still read comic books. Like, my wife would tell me I'm immature, jokingly, of course. But the reality is, Comic Con exists for a reason. That is a massive multi-million-dollar event that's not just in San Diego. They do them in Denver, they do them in Portland, they do them in New York. Now ask yourself why. It's because there is an audience for literally everything. There's people out there that will watch videos of somebody cleaning carpets or cutting grass and mowing it, making a dirty yard look pretty. There's a satisfaction level that goes into certain things like that. So when you do find whatever you're passionate about, that niche is, find your community. Once you find your community, you will find a way to fit in and find your own little niche. And I love what you said earlier. The pie's big enough for everybody. There's enough business in this space for everyone to get a little piece. So don't overthink about like, well, how can I? Okay, for example, I run a podcast network. That would be like me on day one going, well, how do I beat Spotify? You don't, not for many, many, many decades, if ever. I don't have to beat Spotify. I just got to be good for what I'm trying to do. I'm never going to beat a $150 billion company. I'm never going to beat Apple Podcasts. I can't compete. I'm small potatoes. I'm the small fish in the sea. Not even in the sea. I'm in the little pond down the street. So I don't have to be the biggest best of anything. I just have to be really good at what I want to do. And from that, you can nurture relationships. You can build networks. You can meet new people like me and you have met. This is how we met. And now I'm on your podcast and you've added your podcast to my network. Now we can talk to each other on the regular because we met doing what we both liked and loved, which is connecting people and doing it through podcasting. So it doesn't matter what you like, just go out there and do it consistently and do it with the right audience, and it'll all start to pay off for you.
Yep. Wise words for all of us. So, Joe, love this conversation. Where can people find out more about you and all this amazing work you're doing?
Yeah, absolutely. Again, I really appreciate being on your show. I love watching you and your episodes, and you can see his show featured on my website, which is where I'm going to direct you next. Nice little segue into that. You can go over to podtopianetwork.com. Podtopianetwork.com is where you'll find our main offerings. We are in the process of rolling out a private community. That should be out within the next couple of weeks. We've been beta testing it right now. So, depending on when this episode is released, it may or may not already exist. But just head over there. You can find me on LinkedIn, Instagram. My name is Joe Massa. It's Joe Massa Official on Instagram and most of the channels. But I'm here as an open resource for anybody if you want to reach out, just to even network, connect, say hi. If you've got a podcast you'd like to add your show for free to my network, I'm an open book. And if you're a friend of Michael's, you're certainly a friend of mine as well.
Awesome. And I'll definitely have all that in the show notes. So, Joe, thank you for being you, buddy, and really appreciate your time today.
Yeah, appreciate you, Michael. Thank you, sir.